So now let's move on to adho svanasana, downward facing dog. And this is a key posture in the Ashtanga series. It's a place where, as the whole Surya Namaskaras, we're actually doing chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog in transitions between sides and between postures. And so we have to do it many times in the practice. So it's very important that we do it correctly. If we're doing it wrong, it's not just once, it's many, many times. And this is from this repetition of doing something wrong is when we start to injure ourselves and cause problems in the body. So it's important we learn correct technique. So downward facing dog is a fairly easy one to do, much easier than chaturanga and much easier than upward dog. So let's look at it. So first we have to understand we're on our hands and our feet, and we show you the position. Simply here. So downward facing dog. Okay, so if we break it down, we've got to look at our foundation, hands and feet. These are the parts that are touching the floor. And we also want to look at the connection, which is the hands coming to the middle dantian and the feet also coming to the middle dantian. We want to maintain this connection to the middle dantian and from the middle dantian to the legs to keep the body active, the flow of qi in the body. And yet we've got to support ourselves. So with the hands, we've got to put the hand down on the floor, and the area we're looking at is here, the palm of the hand. We're looking at this area here. And this is the part that touches the floor. In it, we have to realize we're actually reaching. The fingers are actually going to reach, which is a very nice way to work, this feeling of reaching. But understanding the reaching is done on the exhalation. It's an action of yang. And the inhalation is a little bit of softness. It allows the yin, and the yin is going to allow us to breathe in and maintain our breath. And the yin is going to allow the qi to come in, and the yang is going to allow the qi to flow through our bodies. We have both these actions. We want to maintain that. And as I said, we want to maintain the connection to the middle dantian. So this means the action in the shoulders, which is our support, needs to be in the correct position. And it's going to start with our hands, the palm on the floor. And I'm actually going to put more emphasis on the inside of the palm. Not too much, but this needs to stay. I have to be aware that this wants to stay down. I'm going to be aware that this is staying down. I don't want to press too hard because then the other side will lift up. But this is going to cause a slight inner rotation, which is good. But then I need to out rotate. Yeah, so 2 movements. Inner rotation of outer rotation of upper arm. And yet I still have to maintain this connection to the middle dantian. So if the shoulders are forward, this won't happen. There's no movement and I block in the neck. So again, the shoulders are back. And we've already worked on position of shoulders in chaturanga, upward dog, and now downward dog. Position of the shoulders should not change in between each of those. So again, hands down, inner rotating, outer rotating, shoulders back, and this will support us in the shoulders. So that's pretty simple. We're just looking from the front, hands down, inner rotate, outer rotate. And from there, I'll lean back and reach. So here's a nice little exercise to do, which we're going to do actually in downward dog, but it's a good place to start now, is breathe in, lift up the hands, exhale, reach. But the reaching is done from middle dantian, not from the head of the shoulders, but from middle dantian. You're just reaching so the whole body has a feeling of following. And so we're going to do it from our knees, lift, just one, place it down. Do the other one, reach, shoulders still back, inner rotate, outer rotate. And then now the feeling is we just do the same reaching on the exhalation. inhale, there's a little softening, which is going to be difficult to do when you're just on your hands and your feet. It's easier on the knees. And so this is the yin and the yang that we're creating. Let me show you from the side. So we're here, first position. So we'll go through the whole thing. First thing to do is make sure the shoulders are over the wrists and the knees are underneath the hips. So we have this nice positioning, and this will actually be the correct distance between our hands and feet and downward facing dog. So then you come onto the bottom of the toes, make sure you're relaxed, palms pressed down, inner rotate, outer rotate, and then you can lean back. So just leaning back is just to give us a preparation. Now the work is going to begin. Inner rotate the forearm, outer rotate the upper arm, make sure we're connected to middle dantian, then lift the knees. And as soon as we lift the knees, the hands will activate, the arms will activate. Then we do the same thing we did in the first lesson, is lift the heels, reach up as far as we can, and then reaching on the exhalation, reaching through the palms, push the sitting bones back, and then gently, so there's no tightness in these, this is a gentle release of the heels down to the floor, and then we have downward facing dog. Head can be lowered, and I'll show you the correct way of lowering the head in a moment. Just lower to look in the direction of the navel. And now we'll come into that position that I was talking about, exhaling, reaching. So you can come to here, exhale, reach, place the palm, reach. And then you do that with your exhalation, reach. And you can see that as I reach forward, my sitting bones actually go back. And then we need to be slightly inner rotating the legs. This will open up the pelvic floor, open up the sitting bones, and allow us to connect to the pelvic floor and ultimately the mula bandha. Okay. So just another little comment. But what happens when we reach our hands, I think I've talked about this before, is that the three middle fingers will lift and the baby finger and the thumb will actually press down. And the same in our toes, as we reach forward, the lengthening and extension of the three toes upwards, the big toe and the baby toe stay down. So arms and legs, mirrors of each other, just different shapes, but the action in both of us are the same. So we want to do the same thing with both. Okay, so let me bring Helen in, downward facing dog. So first thing we do is she comes down onto her knees. So we're going to go through the whole thing. And she comes forward, and we're going to position hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We're just going to, we don't want her sagging like a older horse. So we're going to lift the middle dantian. And now she's trying to lift the shoulders. So she needs to roll the shoulder heads back. So I'm going to get her to sink. Just sink down the chest, and now roll the shoulder heads back, roll back this way, so the outer rotate. So we want the inner rotation here, outer rotation of the upper arm, and that will give support to the back. Then she can lean, come back onto the bottom of the toes. Now she can just lean back, there. Now she wants to work the inner rotation and the outer rotation. So we've got this already had it, the shoulders open. Now the work begins. She can lift the knees, still stay relaxed. Now the heels lift. Now she can extend up and reach. So this is important. As she reaches up, the legs are extending, the feet haven't gone back. It's all an upward movement, upwards. Now when this has happened, slightly inner rotate the leg, reach forward, inner and outer rotate, and now gently, very softly, gently lower the heels down. So no tension, no calf muscle. So we're working on this today. So she bends her legs, lifts the heels, lengthens up. And I'm just going to gently lower her down. So she relaxes these muscles more. Okay, so that's going to help her out. If she gets too tight here, she's starting to do, then she has problems with the rest of the body. Then She breathes in. I'm going to get her to inhale, relax, lift one hand and relax and reach. And then do the other hand, inhale, relax and reach. And then she's going to find that she can push back much more. She breathes in. Head turns, and the movement of the head comes basically from the ear, the chin comes down. And then she can look in the direction of the navel, not at the navel, because she'll get too much of a round back. Breathe in, inner rotate, try and lift the sitting bones as she reaches for. Okay, so this is downward facing dog posture. Let me just try and remind you about one more thing. This action with the legs, lifting the heels and reaching up. So the legs are lengthening, we're reaching with the legs and then gently lowering down. So there's just a natural energy that comes into it. We don't want to have too much tightness there, the calf muscle. Be aware that you don't straighten the legs or put the heels down and then straighten the legs. You don't want to use the quadriceps to straighten the legs. You're lifting up and just gently lowering down, coming into downward facing dog. Okay. One more point. I talked about the head. So basically we move the head from around our ears and lower. Another way of looking at it, if you become more intimate with your body, which is the hyoid muscle, the hyoid bone, which is here, it's like just a little swallow and lower. So this is what we do in Jalandhara Bandha. And this will actually keep the back open. It'll broaden the back. If we lower too much, then the shoulders come apart and the spine goes in, and we create a blockage. So it's important that we keep the back open in downward facing dog. So hopefully this helps you out.